Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and we are thrilled to have back on many appearances by this iconic, terrific group in San Diego called Second Chance. We are joined by Bill Payne. He's the president and CEO of Second Chance, joined by his development director, Philip Stutzman. Bill and Philip, how you doing?
We're doing great.
Doing well. Thank you.
So for the very, very few of our Spotlight on the Community listeners that have no clue about what the mission is of Second Chance, and I guarantee it's infinitesimal, Bill, why don't you have a little bit of a recap what the mission is?
Thank you. Our mission is to disrupt the cycles of incarceration and poverty by helping people towards self-sufficiency. And the way we do that is in three main areas. We have transitional housing for people who are recently released from incarceration, usually referred to us from our probation partners or other law enforcement partners. And then we have reentry programs that reduce the barriers that people face when they're released from incarceration. And we further support our participants through education and workforce development to get them job skills and to get them jobs on their way towards self-sufficiency.
Yeah, I think you work pretty closely with my good friend and colleague, Peter Kallstrom, at the San Diego Workforce Partnership, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
That is absolutely true. Partnerships are so important in what we do. It takes the entire community to provide the suite of services that folks need. These are folks who have made the decision to change their trajectory. They've taken accountability for their behavior, and they're ready to change. It's up to us to give them the resources to make that change successfully.
Yeah. How long have you been with the organization?
I've been with Second Chance for 2 years in my current role,
right,
but that's after a long period of involvement, first as a volunteer and a donor, and later on as a consultant.
Right. And Philip, you are the development director. How long have you been involved?
Yeah, that's right. So I started with Second Chance in the summer of 2020.
Okay.
So right in the heart of the pandemic.
Right.
And, I think it's interesting. I've been in nonprofit for about 10 years in San Diego.
Right.
And I didn't know what Second Chance was. And, I think that's, something that can happen. You kind of get in the silos, you pay attention to what you're interested in. But when I started interviewing with Second Chance and when I was telling people that I was going to work there, everything I heard was, oh, it's a great organization. They're, the experts at what they do. And since I've been there, I've found that to be true. So it's a really great place to work.
Well, it's a game changer for 75 different reasons. And one of the ones that I love bringing up is not only are you changing that person's life who has been incarcerated and has challenges, and I don't know what the numbers are, Bill, you know better than I do, without any intervention, is it 70% recidivism or some pretty big number, correct?
That is true. The as measured at San Diego Workforce Partnership, which we just mentioned, the average recidivism rate, or the rate at which people commit a new crime and are incarcerated again, is 65%. For the programs that we've partnered with on San Diego Workforce Partnership, the recidivism rate is 18%.
And when you look at those numbers, and this is why I've been so passionate about what you folks do, all right? So if I'm doing my math right, that's 47% reduction, right? All right, we're just going to take 100 people, and now instead of 65 of them going back into the system, depending on where they are, at maybe $80,000 a year to incarcerate, now you have 18, all right? Just do the math, and if nothing else, as a taxpayer, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, you're saving yourself money. So why aren't we screaming from the mountaintop to say, this saves us money? So Bill, can you answer that question?
Well, one of the things on the positive side that we know is that there is a lot of effort being placed, both publicly and privately, on changing the way we address not just the criminal justice, but really the entire community health aspects of incarceration and criminal justice. And so the district attorney's office, the probation department, the sheriff's office, all of the public safety organizations, including the county's health and human services, they all have different efforts that are designed to divert people from incarceration in ways that work, right? The ultimate goal of criminal justice shouldn't just be crime and punishment. It should be crime, punishment, and recovery. And so both the victims of crime have recovery to do from their experience, as well as the people who commit crimes. And that's where we see the county investing millions of dollars in. And we're there to help. We're part of a lot of different efforts. I'm a member of the advisory group for the Alternatives to Incarceration study. There's a community corrections plan that's run by public safety that I'm an active participant in. And so it's important for organizations like ours, citizens, and other public organizations and agencies to rally around this cause of doing things in a way that actually works, instead of continuing to try the old ways that don't work anymore.
Well, I mean, it's absolutely mind-numbing why no one would do that based on the track record you folks have for 75 different reasons. And it's not just the person that you're helping not going back into the system. It's his or her brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, kids, animals, I don't know, whatever, and all that aspect of it. We're chatting with Bill Payne, President and CEO of Second Chance, joined by his Development Director, Philip Stutzman. I'm Drew Schlosberg, as you're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community here at Cloudcast Media in the Mission Fed Credit Union Studios. Mission Fed's been doing just spectacular work in this community for more than 60 years. So we know, Philip, unless you've got a money tree growing somewhere that you haven't told Bill and I about, and you'd be in trouble if you have that, raising funds is just so critical. Talk about that.
Well, first of all, if I had a money tree, my kids would have already found it, and all the money would be gone.
And hid it from you, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Of course, funding for us as a nonprofit organization is, it's critical. We can't do what we do without the support of the public and private sources. And, so to touch on kind of what Bill was talking about earlier, we do see this kind of renewed commitment to changing the way that we look at incarceration and criminal justice. Over the last few years, we've seen a significant kind of reinvestment at the state level, at the federal level, to try and to heal, to reinvest in some of the communities that have been hit hardest by some of the policies of the past. You talk about things like the war on drugs, and that hits areas that we serve. We're in Canto.
Right.
We're serving neighborhoods of City Heights and Barrio Logan. And these are neighborhoods that were hit especially hard by policies like the war on drugs. And it's generational. So it's not just the people who were, who were locked up for what we would consider now to be kind of petty drug crimes. It's generational. And so their families have had to deal with the effects of that. And so, like I mentioned, you're starting to see some of that reinvestment from the state and from the federal level, and it eventually kind of trickles down to the county level. And that's where an organization of our size can start to access some of that. But it's not easy. And, to go after, to respond to those kind of RFPs, it's the kind of thing that will turn your organization inside out, for a couple of weeks, because it's the development department, it's everyone in programs, it's people at, Bill's level to respond to these kind of RFPs. We're talking about 200-page RFPs, and you're responding to multiple levels of bureaucracy, and able to access those funds. So it's not easy. At Second Chance, we have a pretty successful history of partnering with the county and with the city, and even on the state level, to access those funds, to have contracts, that we are, facilitating for the county and for the city, and those supply a large part of our funding. A lot of our programs are funded through those contracts, but we can't just do it with those.
Right. It just is, again, it's such an obvious thing based on the track record, the long track record, the success of what you're doing, the shift in how people are looking at incarceration, as you were talking about, Bill, the successes you have. And listen, we haven't even touched base on this. The programs you have, the job skills and training and getting them, what you need to do now that you're out and not to get back in is critical. Talk about some of those programs.
So we have built over the almost 30 years of our existence as an agency, we've built a series of interrelated and mutually supporting programs that really address 360 degrees of self-sufficiency. And that's what we've found is the most effective. The term of art in the industry is wraparound services. And what that really means is addressing the needs of the whole person. So when we talk about self-sufficiency, we talk about self-sufficiency in terms of housing and safety, personal wellness, justice involvement, your social wellness, your education, life skills, and mobilities, and your income and employment. And those are the 6 areas that really our programs address. Our transitional sober living housing program, we have 4 residences, a 75-bed capacity. These are folks that would otherwise be homeless when they're released from incarceration, but they get referred to us by probation and the sheriff's department. And we catch them and we wrap our arms around them. And we get them safe and stable. And then we co-enroll them in our other programs that provide reentry services, such as Reentry Works. We have a reentry court program that is a collaboration with the Superior Court of California. And as we resolve the justice involvement issues and ensure personal wellness, we're ready to move on to community involvement, education, connection to education. I have to mention our strong partnership with San Diego's College of Continuing Education. We take advantage of that.
Carlos.
Yeah.
He used to run it. Now he's running the whole show. Right.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right. Yeah. And we what we're most known for is our job readiness training, which I think of as our finishing school. Mm-hmm. It is the last step towards people who have stabilized themselves from the standpoint of any substance use issues they may have, any behavioral health issues they may have. They resolved their legal, or they're on their way to resolving their legal issues. And now they're motivated, they're future motivated and engaged employees. And one of the most important parts of that finishing school, is our employer partners. We have a network of employers in San Diego who are willing to hire our graduates. And what they find when they hire our graduates is they find motivated and engaged employees that they can retain and that they can grow and grow their skill set through their career. We talk a lot about the ABCs of employment, where A is get a job, and B is get a better job, and C is get a career. And Second Chance provides lifetime services. Once you're enrolled with us, you can come back anytime, and we'll help you progress through the ABCs of employment.
Right, without question. When we come back from a break, I want to talk a little bit more about that when we return from this episode of Spotlight on the Community.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you've been listening to Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community, a show brought to you by Cloudcast Media and Mission Fed Credit Union. We're in the Mission Fed Credit Union studios, where this credit union has brought great things to San Diego for more than 60 years, talking to our good friends of the iconic Second Chance organization. Bill Payne, president and CEO of Second Chance, joined by his colleague Philip Stutzman, development director for the organization, and just talking about the programs that you folks offer that not only get them, out of incarceration, but on a trajectory for being success. Talk a little bit about that.
Thank you. One of the things that's important when we talk about programs, it's important to remember the participants or the people we're talking about. And I mentioned this before. These are folks who have decided to change the trajectory of their lives. They've committed to making this change. They've taken accountability for their behavior. It's not a handout. It's not easy, actually. It's deep work. It's deep emotional work. There's behavioral health aspects to it. And so our programs start with an understanding of the whole person's self-sufficiency needs. Our transitional housing is a sober living environment so that people can get stabilized. We refer people to substance use programs. We provide alcohol and other drug counseling, other behavioral health counseling. We have a reentry program that reduces the barriers to reentry. One of my favorite stories that I talk about all the time is a gentleman who was released from incarceration and was seeking to re-enter his career as a commercial truck driver. He had a CDL, but he had a fine that was assessed against his CDL that was on the order of $32, and he didn't have $32. So wow. we were able to provide the supportive service to pay off this fine so that he could get his license back so he could get a job, instead of returning to his old lifestyle, which led to him being incarcerated, right? So these barriers can be as small as a $32 fine to get your commercial driver's license back, or they can be other barriers, whether it be housing, whether it be you've got the job as a construction worker, but you need steel-toed boots, or you need to fix your car so you can get to the job site. Mm-hmm. Right. These are the barriers that are faced by folks that help keep them on that positive trajectory. So that's really what our reentry programs do, is reduce those barriers. And then, as I mentioned before, we have our finishing school. Everyone knows about our job readiness training program. We're about to graduate class number 257.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And of course, coupled with our job readiness training is our business services group, which works with our employer partners to place people into the network of employers who are ready to hire our graduates. We've just talked about most of our adult programs, and I can never forget the youth programs.
Interesting.
As well. So one of the reasons why we have youth programs is because it allows us to address this cycle of incarceration and poverty on the preventive side. We have a program, a youth garden program, that grows organic fresh vegetables and provides a community-supported agriculture program to needy families in the Southeast San Diego area. Our youth garden program reconnects youth to education using the tool of horticulture and organic gardening. And we also have what we call transitional age program for young adults, which connects them to education and advancement opportunities. I mentioned before our strong partnership with the San Diego College of Continuing Education. And one of the things we were talking about fundraising earlier, and a lot of times I run into folks. I do the Rotary Club circuit. Sure. Go talk to everybody.
Right.
And they're always curious about, how do we get our funding? Where does it come from? And it's really three broad areas. Many people believe that programs or nonprofits like Second Chance are funded by the government and that we don't need their support. Nothing could be further from the truth.
Not true.
Because we're only partially funded by government contracts and things like that. And it falls into three main areas. We have donations, institutional donations as well as private donations. And we have two kinds of contracts that come to the government. And one of the things I always like to point out to people is these contracts are cost reimbursement contracts. So they're just reimbursing basic cost. I, in my position as president and CEO, am actually overhead. And nobody likes to pay for overhead, but I can personally attest to the value of covering overhead costs because I am one.
Right. Well, it cracks me up about this. Again, we're chatting with Bill Payne, President and CEO of Second Chance, joined by his development director, Philip Stutzman. What cracks me up, been in this space for quite a while, been honored to be on a bunch of boards, and people think that it's a nonprofit. You don't need to pay people. Mm-hmm. Really? So we're going to cut your salary and your for-profit? Mm-hmm. How do you like that? That wouldn't happen, right? So, get out of my face. You don't understand how this stuff works. And when you have a hard-charging, successful CEO or development director, great things happen. And now you go down from 65% to 18% when you work with groups like the Workforce Partnership and actually save you money. You can tell I'm passionate about what you guys do and can't talk about it enough because if Drew ran the world, I would get in front of every politician and say, you want to help reduce crime or recidivism, okay, and you want to do it with saving money for taxpayers, okay, and I noticed that you didn't support Second Chance. Okay, right, that'd be the last time that would happen. I mean, it amazes me. I know I'm not paid by Second Chance to say that. It's just such a great program in that vein. So, Phil, what we're talking about, the raising the money and so forth and all that aspect of it. Do you put on events? Do you have things that help raise money besides the grants?
Events, yeah. Over the last 2 years,
right.
No, we haven't done any events.
Right, for good reason.
Yeah, no one has.
Right.
So we're really looking forward to the next year. I think Bill mentioned earlier, next year is our 30th anniversary, which we are incredibly proud to say that we've been around for 30 years. It's also kind of one of those things where you go, wow, I wish there wasn't a need for an organization like Second Chance to be around for 30 years.
Right.
But there is, and we will continue to do what we do and serve the folks that we do. But we can't do it without private support.
Right.
Bill mentioned some of the government contracts and stuff, and they are great, but it doesn't pay the overhead.
Right.
And we rely on individuals in the community. We rely on foundations and corporations, well-known in San Diego, to support us in those efforts. So if you want to get involved, we have multiple opportunities. We are always seeking volunteers. We have a number of opportunities at the office to help with mock interviews, resume creation. We have a professional clothes closet, which is really cool. When you see one of our job readiness training classes getting ready for graduation, all of the graduates get to go to the professional clothes closet. They get fitted for a suit, or for proper work attire, for proper interview attire, and it's just really cool to see the smiles on their faces. That's one of those boosts of confidence that's really visible. But we have other opportunities as well. Obviously, go to our website, www.secondchanceprogram.org, to see all of those opportunities. We have a monthly giving program, which is incredible. We have, a number of people who have been supporting the organization for years. And the ones who do it on that monthly basis are really the lifeblood of the organization. And as we go into our 30th anniversary next year, we're going to have a big gala.
Great.
In April, which happens to be National Second Chance Month, for anyone who didn't know that. So we're going to blow it out for that and probably have a lot more kind of public-facing events and opportunities next year to support the organization. So we're really looking forward to that.
Well, we're going to give you that forum, to say the least. And you mentioned about suits and all that business. Do you folks have a truck that comes by and picks these up, or do you have to donate them? And I'm serious when I say that. I'm ready to clear out my...
We have a car.
I'm telling you, I haven't worn a suit, and I'm not sure. Every once in a while when I MC an event. In all seriousness, I'd love to give you a whole bunch of suits I've not worn in many years, as long as you have a guy that has a 5 hat and a 46 coat. And if you can do the math on that.
We have folks of all sizes. And yeah, we would love to.
Yeah, I'll circle back with you. And for our listeners on that aspect of it, if you've got things that are going to be of great value, don't give them your broken down TV and all that stuff. That doesn't work. But you got clothes, you've got That's a great thing about them going to that closet is terrific. So, Bill, let me ask you this. We definitely want to have you back on. That's an understatement of the world. And we don't want to break any privacy laws and all this. But we know that when we have an organization that's done just great work that you have, and 257 graduating classes, I think that number you were saying, or something to that effect. How many people graduate in a class approximately?
After COVID, it's picked back up to where we have a dozen and a half participants per class. During COVID,
I think we had 15 in our last graduating class.
15?
That's right.
Yeah. No, that's terrific. And do the math. That's a lot of people. And then with, again, do the math. It's just a great thing. Would one of them be interested in coming on the show with you folks and talk about the benefits they had from Second Chance?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. We can have one of our participants or one or more come. And what we'll hear from them is that their journey usually involves some form of trauma in their past life, an adverse childhood experience, some form of trauma that they're recovering from, as well as an ownership, an accountability for their past behavior and a willingness to change. We know for a fact that the most effective programming that we can do is for people who have made that decision to change. Many people, especially our transitional age adults, our younger 18 to 24 adults, may not have reached this point of mental maturity yet where they're fully ready to change, and our programs help them get ready.
Well, let's make sure we have you folks back on with one of those people that have benefited from your services and can't shout it out enough. We'll be looking forward to all the other activities you have coming up on the 30th anniversary. Bill, shout out the website one more time.
It is secondchanceprogram.org.
Very good. And I will guarantee you, whether you get involved as a donator, donations, or you volunteer, or you're distributing suits, or you're any type of product, computers, that'll be money and time well spent. Bill Payne and Philip Stutzman, what a pleasure chatting with you folks. We're going to look forward to having you back on sooner than later. As far as I'm concerned, Spotlight on the Community cannot shout you folks out enough. Thanks for coming on.
We really appreciate it, Drew. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely my pleasure. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you've been listening to Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for more than 60 years.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.